In the last days of World War II, Germany was on its knees. Its Führer had locked himself in a bunker, and its cities were getting bombed on an hourly rate. The Nazi regime was crumbling all around, and the world was finding out piece by piece of the atrocities and crimes against humanity that the regime caused. One of the strangest legends, and certainly one of the most intriguing to come out of the dying embers of the regime, were the rumours that in a desperate attempt to hide any evidence, and to ensure that anything of value does not get into the hands of those they deemed undesirable, a train was prepared hauling over 300 tons of gold, precious jewels, beautiful works of art from the likes of Monet and Leonardo da Vinci, and state of the art weapons of the time, set off towards a system of tunnels under the Owl Mountains. It was rumoured that an unfinished base lay there, and the train was boarded up and hidden away. Over the years, the legend was never spoken about and rarely mentioned, until 2015, when two treasure hunters by the name of Peter Koper and Andreas Richter reignited the legend after obtaining a deathbed confession about the train from one of the workers who helped assemble it. At first, the Polish government kept the men's identity secret, and they offered the men a finder's fee of 10% of the value in return for its exact location. Before anything could be finalised, their identities were leaked, and the news of the train caused a worldwide media circus. Ground penetrating radar was used at the location rumoured to be where the train was buried. At first, the results were very exciting, as it did prove that something was under the ground. The object was about 100 metres in length and appeared to look like the roof of a tunnel. Polish authorities got straight to work and sectioned off the woodland. They tried to work in secret in order to prevent treasure hunters and other thieves that may want to take the gold. Due to the land being privately owned and also the possibility of booby traps and mines, the Polish government decided to make a non-invasive assessment. The team did find some form of human interference, but they could not find any evidence of a train. The treasure hunters were undeterred and asked for permission to excavate the land, which was granted. On the 15th of August 2016, a team of 64 people descended upon the woodland and began to dig. This caused sensational media storm, and people descended upon the town, desperate to get their first glimpse of the infamous Nazi gold. Unfortunately, after 7 days, work ceased when no evidence was found. The radar images were checked again, and it was confirmed that the objects they had found were just natural ice formations. Through private fundraising endeavours, Koper and Richter continued to dig deeper and deeper, and eventually finding some cavities which could have been a railway tunnel. However, each dig was proved fruitless. Richter left the team in 2018, leaving Koper to search alone, and while he never found any evidence of any gold train, he did discover several large paintings hidden in a plaster wall while working in an old palace. What would it mean if this train would have been found? We have to remember at first where this gold came from. The main funding of the regime came from the mass murder and suppression of its people. Any objects that were considered of value were confiscated by the regime, and this even went as far as gold teeth that were pulled from the poor Jews' mouths in the Holocaust. If you ever have the opportunity to visit Auschwitz, you will see the mounds of shoes and glasses taken from the victims piled high in rooms, and when you consider these are several rooms, it makes you think just how many people suffered just because they followed a different religion or did not follow the Nazis' strict standards. There are also laws regulating treasure. In the UK, any treasure found has to be reported. If the treasure is historically significant, it automatically becomes government property and must be purchased from either the person who found it, or if it was found on somebody's land, the person who owned the land. As this gold and artwork were very likely stolen from the people who were oppressed, The Polish government would be very keen to compensate for the families and the victims that are still alive today. And I suspect that that's where the majority of gold would have gone. For items that may have been proven to belong to a particular family, for example gemstones and works of art, the government was very keen to get these items back to their rightful owners. It may prove difficult as the families would have to prove that they once owned these items. For the majority, certainly the engine, the carriages and the works of art that couldn't be returned, I would expect that this would have gone on display. Most likely either in its own separate museum, or it would have been transported to the camps, where it would have been forever protected for generations to learn of what the treasure represented. Today, the Polish government deny any knowledge that this train ever existed, and many people agree. I myself am not so sure. Considering the amounts of gold and precious items that the Nazi regime stole, and the fact that they were known to hide their treasures away, and considering the small amount that was recovered following the end of World War II, I do think that there are treasures out there waiting to be discovered. And I do think somewhere out there is the missing piece to the question of where these missing treasures are.